In transit. Good job. That's what I want to say in the beginning because I thought this was just such a simple concept, but not at the same time. I think it's actually very deep, and I really love the concept. It's something that we might think about when we're in it or in a situation very similar, but we would never think of putting it to a film. And I just love the length of this film. I thought it was the perfect length for this type of film, and the pace was great. It kept me interested, and I liked all the different the shots that were happening. I like all of the inner thoughts. That it was just so cool, like the overlapping sounds and voices about kind of what would be happening if we could all hear each other thinking. It's so quiet, but it's if you could hear everybody thinking, it wouldn't be so quiet. If you could actually tune into those, radio waves of our voices, I think it would be a whole nother story. Great editing and visual. It's just such a cool concept. Great ending credit. I like the effect of the train lines. I thought that was really neat, and the voices carrying through the credits. Um, I like this a lot. I thought, it makes you feel less alone in the world, even when you are alone. So really well done. I like the script as well and the voiceovers. Great job.
All right, I just finished watching In Transit, which was a piece I ended up enjoying. I like the thematic conceit of traveling or being in transit or in between spaces. I think there's a lot of sort of spiritual ideas behind that in terms of life and death. And I thought this piece had a very sort of ruminative and like observatory conceit that I thought matched with that thematic idea. It obviously looked very cinematic. The cinematography was quite strong, especially the opening sequences, and I just enjoyed the people watching this sort of dynamic at the center of the piece, which is something that I would like to do, or I like to do myself personally. I thought that that conceit was captured really well, especially from a sort of a creator's point of view of seeing everybody as their own character and wanting to really become invested in the environment around you, while also sort of reflecting like a kind of schizophrenic dynamic that comes with thinking that way about life and always trying to be in other people's heads and constantly trying to be outside yourself while also being within yourself. So I thought a lot of those ideas were reflected in the piece quite well with the narration and the visual constructs, and I ended up enjoying it mainly because I like the natural and grounded conceit at the center of it. So I thought it was well done, and I ended up liking it.
I really like this piece. Not only is it uh, my hometown, but it's really relatable to me. I think that like these are thoughts that a lot of us have when we're on a bus or on a subway in this like public space that also can feel so private. Um, and it's this like alone togetherness is like the best way that I can think about it is that you're each having this individual experience within yourselves, but you're all in the same environment, going to the same places, the same direction. Um, and it's a fabulous place for people watching and just observing human life and human interaction. And sometimes you make up little stories about where people might be going or, what they might do for a living. And I just think it's really fascinating. And I think this um, just kind of like voiceover in your head of like these musings are really reminiscent of what a lot of people think when they are in a situation like this. So I really like that we kind of got to like ride the rails together and get to see different stations. I love the end credits and how they had the track lines kind of weaving throughout the names in the credits. Yeah, I thought this was really special. I thought it was very thoughtful and yeah, just like a beautiful like ode to the subway and like the subway experience. Yeah.
I just got done watching In Transit. The filmmakers did an amazing job of capturing those beautiful fall colors right at the very beginning. And I have to say, I was really, really impressed at all of the camera work on the subway because there was very, very little shake to it. It was really steady. Technically, I thought that they did a fantastic job with it. The whole film, they did a really good job with. I liked the fact of the overlapping voiceovers. They weren't overlapping so much that it was confusing. It was very artistic and very creative and also very true. So I really liked this. This was fantastic.
In Transit. Interesting film. I enjoyed this. The train, the sounds, the bells, the brakes of the subway, but the speakers, the narrator talking about everybody coming together to take a train and how they're strangers, yet you're not alone because it's in silent company of the strangers. The speakers and the way they were overlaid at a certain point with the thoughts about their day and where they're going and what their schedules look like. That's exactly the kind of thing that matches up with the expressions when you're in these situations. You can see people deep in thought. Some look worried, some look happy, some look excited. And it's interesting to think about where they're going, what their direction is for their day. Just a really neat interpretation of being out in the community.
This was quality work, just simple and effective, great execution, just a great use of the cinematic language in general. You've got, just motivated camera movements, the way the frame is swept by people walking by, just really smart filmmaking, paired with interesting commentary that I think we can all relate to, and most of have been there. Very well paced and edited. The graphical treatment was smart and well done. Overall, this is an A+ in my book. I really enjoyed it.
In transit, we see people in transit. We hear various thoughts of the commuters on this subway. And, I lived in New York for a while, so this is very realistic. The audio overlaps. So it feels like this is this overactive subconscious. And then it cuts to the imagery. And then they start getting these quick cuts with this audio that's starting to overlap and become even more violent in the way that it's one on top of the other. And it starts to add this anxious feeling. And you feel as a viewer, I'm overwhelmed, because this is what you would assume an overwhelmed mind sounds like, where it's just one thought colliding into another thought, colliding into another thought. But these were the thoughts of everyone on the train colliding all in one. And did a really great job of giving us a visual representation of the subconscious of the people on the train. And when you're on the train, you're mostly in your own world and you have no idea what the person next to you is thinking. But this gave a nice view of what life on the train is like, if you could listen to every single person's thoughts, and it's quite overwhelming.